relate to it. But how did you, if you didn't have kids at the time, was it hard for you to write a pilot? Because the kids, writing jokes for kids is tough. It's like writing, if you try to write a really dumb joke, that's very tough.
Yeah, I don't think I had any problems writing for kids. I mean, it's just immature comedy, really,
This is Coop's Comedy Corner. Buckle up because it's funny as Coop's Comedy Corner.
Welcome to Coop's Comedy Corner. I'm your host, Steve Cooper. And I got to tell you something out, people. Jimmy Corhan, the guy who's a producer and runs Comedy Trainwreck, did a great thing for me. If you go to coopscomedycorner.com, you can get merch. You can get Coop's Comedy Corner merch. You can get my business podcast, the Coop Tank Post merch. And you can also get Cooper Talk merch. T-shirts, doggy sweaters, mugs. So go check it out at coopscomedycorner.com. I want to thank Jimmy. And, you got to check out Comedy Trainwreck. There's some great shows in there with you. Ed McGonigal has his show. We have Coleman Green. We have John Kensel. So check it out. And we have a great show today. And, I just learned, I have never met my guest in person, but I did send him when he had a health problem. I sent him an email, a message on Facebook, and I got to know him. And I believe he was just in Alaska, but my guest is Mary Valeriano. How you doing, Mary?
Oh, I'm good. I came for the merch, for the doggy sweater merch. Where can I get some of that?
There you go.
Yeah.
No, wait, so you were in Alaska. Were you in Alaska like yesterday, or
I was in Alaska yesterday.
What was going on?
Yes, I was in Juneau yesterday. Yeah, I did a cruise up through Alaska. I performed on a cruise up through Alaska, and I had my flight wasn't until like 8:00, and I got off the boat around noon. So I just walked around Juneau for the day. It was pretty cool.
So, how long have you been doing cruises? Because I'm always fascinated by people who can do cruises because you have to have like 2 45-minute sets. Which people, if you don't know, that's a shitload of material. I mean, this is crazy. But what got you into cruises besides probably the money and the work? But how long have you been doing them, and do you enjoy them?
Well, yeah, I've probably been doing it about 4 years, and yeah, I really like them a lot. You probably know back when you were starting out, like when I was starting out, cruise ship comics were like the bottom of the barrel. No offense to any of the old timers listening, but they were, I pictured it as like leftovers from the 80s who didn't really make it. And, they got the sleeves rolled up and the really hacky material. And then I don't know, like around COVID, I think it was Carnival, like decided that, the first generation who listened to punk rock music is now cruising. So they put in comedy clubs, and it's been great. Now I got people begging me to get them on the cruises.
Now, is it a comedy club format, or is it just you? And I'm sure every cruise line is different, but you said Carnival is comedy club. So is that headliners? Is that what that's called?
Yeah. The comedy club on Carnival is called Punchliner. But yeah, it's just me. Well, you have a host who varies anywhere from somebody on the staff who got stuck there to somebody who, brings some life to it. And it's just you for a half hour. Sometimes you'll go up with the other comic and do like a showcase set, 20 minutes each in the theater. But that's on Carnival. And then Holland is just 2 45s clean. Carnival's 5 different half hours. So it all varies on the line.
So how do you, I just think of retention. Because I forget everything. Like I'll do a show. I'm headlining a show at the end of this month. I have to do 40 to 45 minutes. Do I have it? Yes. Will I remember it? No. And I'm going, right. Oh crap. Now for you, 2 45 minutes. And do they actually watch you and be like the police? Like, oh my God, Murray did the same bit twice.
No, I don't think so. Probably not, because I can't remember either. So yeah, no, I don't think anybody's really policing you unless you're doing, because they contract you for 2 different shows. So they want 2 different, but if you do another bit, I don't think it's going to ruffle anybody's feathers.
So I did not know you were from New Jersey until you said that earlier. Tell me about your path into comedy, because I don't know. Are you a North Jersey guy, a Central Jersey guy, a South Jersey guy? What part of Jersey?
It's North Jersey, a little town near Wayne. You know where Wayne is?
Yeah.
It's about,
I went to Stockton State. I know every town in North Jersey.
Okay. Yeah. So it's about a half hour, 45 minutes out of the tunnel. But I was originally from Tennessee, and then I did kind of high school and college age up in Jersey, up in North Jersey. They're literally where they shot The Sopranos. Like that is where I grew up. Right there.
So what got you into comedy?
What comedy? Well, I always wanted to be a comedian. since I was in like 7th grade, because that was the 80s. I was watching on the boom. And then it took me years to do stand-up. Like I didn't get into stand-up till I was like 28 or 29. But I did sketch and improv through the through the 90s at the Ice House in Pasadena here in California. And so that kind of itched my comedy club itch there for a while. And then we ended up doing really well. That show ran for almost 2 years at the Ice House. And then we kind of got a pilot deal out of it, and that didn't go anywhere. And then after that broke up, I'm like, well, I guess I got to do stand-up. And so I started stand-up, quickly got burned out on that. And then I quit because I started writing for TV. And then I started again. And like, I started taking it really seriously in like 2007, I think.
When did you want to start writing? Because I had a sketch troupe that ran for a year in Hollywood called The Bitter Optimists, and it was at the Lillian Theater. My friend Don, we used to wait tables at Planet Hollywood, and he opened this theater, and he had this little room. I think we paid $50 every Saturday night or every Tuesday night, and we got to keep the door. I think at the end of the run, we made $200 for the whole year, enough to buy booze. But I wrote a lot of that, and it was very different writing sketch. With your sketch troupe, were you all in the writing, or was it someone taking a majority of it, or how did you get it formed?
Well, we idolized Monty Python. So we decided that from the incarnation of this, it would be just like Monty Python did. Written, conceived, and produced by Monty Python. So this was written, conceived, produced by everybody. There were 5 of us. 3 of us wrote, and 2 were more on the actor's side. So between the 3 of us, we wrote, the whole thing.
So how did you guys all meet? Because I was wondering, like, I met like a waiter at my restaurant, and then I couldn't get anyone. Everyone says like, "Oh yeah, we want to do sketch comedy," and you go, "Okay, well we got a venue," and you're like, "Oh, I can't do it." And you're like, "Shut the fuck up." We want to do it. How did you guys? Because 5 people in LA is hard to get together.
Yeah, we actually stumbled. All right, so it's a little bit of a long story. I'll try to truncate it. So I had been in a sketch show at the Ice House. This guy I met at an improv class put me in. He didn't get along with the booker, so he got fired. And the booker was like, "Yeah, we fired that guy. We're canceling that show, but you're more than welcome to hang out and pick up spots and hang out." They had an improv jam on Friday nights. And you're like, "You're more than welcome to hang out and do that." And so I was living with this guy at the time. So I had to like, do I go with this guy who's kind of my friend, or do I go with literally the only thing I have going for me in my life right now is this comedy club? Because I didn't have a job. I didn't have a car. I didn't have any money. All I had was this like Friday night show that I could show up and possibly get time on. So I chose that. And then as time went up, like I would show up every Friday night, and then this other guy would show up every Friday night, and this other guy would show up Friday night. And then when that show got canceled, the booker came up to me and the other 2 guys and was like, "Hey, do you guys have a show you can put up next Friday?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure. Of course. Absolutely. Yeah." We didn't. And so we're like, "Yeah." So you would think that if you're given this opportunity, we would start writing that show immediately because we have 6 days to put together a 90-minute show. But no, we're like 25. So we showed up the night before. Like a Thursday night, we got to put it up on Sunday. Like, what do you got? Can you do stand-up? Do you have any sketches? Do you have a joke? I think I had like 2 ripoffs of old Carol Burnett show sketches at the time. I had nothing. And then we put it together and we threw it up, and that thing ran for 4 shows a week for I think almost 2 years.
What was it called? What was the group called?
We were called Here Comes the Neighborhood.
Okay. The Ice House, I always tell people, if you're a stand-up, and if you go on the Ice House any night and you have a shitty set, quit comedy, because that is I used to perform before a pandemic, but it's like if you've been doing comedy for a few years, I used to go do someone's showcase, and they would bring the acts. Like I'd have to bring people because I had a little bit of name, and I would see acts going up, and this person, she'd always put me up right after the MC. And she always had a good MC. And I knew what I was doing. So I'd have a great set. And this poor bastard after me has done comedy like 3 times, would eat shit. And I'm like, dude, man, this is the Ice House. Like, that's the type of room that laughs at the setup, which you don't see a lot. They just sit there. They're there to laugh.
Oh, and listen, as a guy who's bombed at the Ice House, I know that feeling too well. Oh, it's terrible. Because I made the switch from from sketch into stand-up at the Ice House. Like that was my first. I got passed as the MC. It was my first headline. So I'm still on the wall out there, actually. So I spent so much time at the Ice House over the last 20 years that I've had a couple bombs there, and you just want to fucking go back to accounting. Like you just want to quit the business, man. It's so bad. If you bomb at you're right. If you bomb at the Ice House, it's painful.
Now, no, when did you start getting into writing? I know you write on a few VH1 shows, I believe. But no, is it Access? VH1.
I just finished a run over at Access. Yeah.
So when did you decide to follow writing, and how did you start getting work? Because it's so hard for a comedy writer to get work sometimes unless you know someone. Like, I knew a lot of guys who wrote for sitcoms, but like Tom Caltabiano knew Ray Romano. Tom Hertz used to stand up, knew all these guys, and they would just get these jobs. But if you're just someone, from sketch or stand up and you don't know someone, it's hard to get in. So how did you start getting work? Because you work consistently.
Yeah, that sketch show I was telling you about, we kind of got like a pilot deal. This production company funded this pilot, this sizzle reel for us. And we shopped it around and got really close, learned the hard lesson that, we love it, we want to put it on. Doesn't mean it's going to get on. We had a meeting at the USA Network, and these guys is like, this is perfect. This is perfect for our show. We're starting comedy on Friday nights. We want this to be the anchor. Flying Monday to talk to the president of USA. And we're like, oh, we sold it. And then Monday came. It's like, yeah, he passed on it. Move on. So since that didn't work out.
I want to ask you real quick. How do you deal with that? Because it's always hard, like that response, like if we're performers, we have this great view, and sometimes you expect it to happen, and then when it doesn't, it just pulls the rug out. For you, what is it like when you think you're going to be on USA Network, and then all of a sudden they're going,
Well, that sucked. I mean, I literally thought I was leaving my table waiting job, but I learned that lesson literally the first day out of the gate. So I knew, I know from then, now I wait till the check clears. I don't even wait till they sign the contract anymore. I wait till the check clears, and then I get excited about something. So I had the rug pulled out for that first one. Was just a kick to the gut, because I didn't know, I didn't know how it worked. And so I like to think I've held on to that, but every once in a while you're like, shit, I really wanted that gig.
So you go from getting the rug pulled out from you. Where do you go now? How do you get the shit back on your shoulder? Go, I gotta do this.
That production company that we did the deal with had just sold a kids show to the Disney Channel, and they needed the pilot written. So they hired me and one of the other guys to write the pilot for that Disney Channel show. And that ended up getting picked up and ran for 2 seasons. So that really is what started me on my writing. I never set out to be a writer. It wasn't until like my third show, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm a writer now. And now I love it. It's one of those happy accidents I stumbled into, and I love it.
Now, I know you have kids now, but when you got that writing show for Disney, did you have kids? Because I used to know this guy who would hang out at a bar in Burbank. His name is Tom, with George Doty. He was a script coordinator for Seinfeld. Then he wrote for iCarly and some other shows. And I'd see him working on his laptop. He didn't have kids. And I was like, how did you relate to it? But how did you, if you didn't have kids at the time, was it hard for you to write a pilot? Because the kids, writing jokes for kids is tough. It's like writing, if you try to write a really dumb joke, that's very tough.
Yeah, I don't think I had any problems writing for kids. I mean, it's just immature comedy, really, But I remember they would send like I remember they wanted to skew it to like teenagers, but they made us really dumb it down to where it skewed more towards 7 and 8 year olds. And I remember getting a survey from the kids, like, what are the kids into these days? And they were expecting like, whatever Pokemon or whatever. And they were like, Tupac, I'm a vegetarian, I'm 8 years old. Like, these kids were so much more advanced than what the old Disney audience, this is the 90s. So, the beginning of the 90s was a huge cultural change in everything, the way people dress, the way kids are, and it had a lot to do with Nirvana, I think. The way, kids dress, the way, the stuff they're into became a little more open and accepted. So these kids, these 13-year-olds are way more advanced than I was when I was 13, is what I learned on that show. So yeah, don't dumb it down to kids. I think that's my only, I do a show with kids on the ship, and I don't really dumb anything down. I think
that's good. You always think, it is funny. Kids are more advanced. And also the kids now, they've grown up with computers. We
Oh, sure.
forget that. Like their generation, they had computers their whole life. Like me, I think my senior year in college, we started getting computers. So we're not used to it. But those kids, and they also, I always say, man, if I went to college when we had access to like Google and Wikipedia, term papers would have been a piece of cake, because now these kids can just look up everything. Like you can say, and it's amazing. So I guess now you're right. Kids have become advanced, and it's just, but for comedy wise, I think it's different because nowadays you have to watch a little bit what you say. I don't think it's as much as people say. People are like, oh, comics are getting canceled. I think that's bullshit. I know the shows I do, I always get like a 40 and up crowd. No one gets
Yeah.
offended. Then there are people I know from the business world. So it's
Yeah.
a different world.
The only people crying cancel culture are the ones who are profiting from it and the ones who can't get work. That's, what I mean? Chappelle got paid $75 million from Netflix to tell us he got canceled. Like, I don't really think that's a cancel there, Chappelle. You know what I mean? And then the other, so it's either those guys who are capitalizing off of it, not just Chappelle, but other ones. And then it's kind of like the not so great comics who are like, I'm going to get canceled if, I can't get work because I'm too edgy. Well, not really. I mean, maybe you're not that funny.
It's just your material sucks. So
Yeah,
the story
yeah.
I want you to tell
Oh,
is the one you posted on Facebook about playing softball with Johnny Knoxville.
oh, yeah.
I want to hear this story because it's funny because like they were no one knew who Jackass was back then, right?
No, this was before Jackass. So his name's PJ. His name's PJ Clapp. And when I was waiting tables, I lived in Hollywood, like under the Hollywood sign, like Bronson Canyon up there, and he lived up there also. And we worked at a restaurant in Brentwood. Well, he worked at Sunset. I worked in Brentwood. And whenever we would share the same restaurant, we'd share a ride home. And I think, speaking of kids, I think he'd already had a kid at this point. And so I got fired. So I got to know him there. I got fired from that restaurant. Didn't see him for years. Got a job at another restaurant, and we'd play football on Sundays. We play we go play 2-hand touch on Sundays. And one day we're there, and I'm like, oh, that's PJ. He's PJ. I haven't seen him in a while. So I ran over, and it was him and all his friends. And we were talking. He was supposed to play softball but the other team didn't show up. So I'm like, hey, we're playing football. Why don't you come play football with us? It's 2-hand touch. And so he grabbed all his friends, and we all started playing. And these were the dirtiest, cheapest players I have. If I could, I literally have a scar on my knee still. If I had shorts on, I'd lift it up to the camera of going out for a pass and somebody kicking my foot out from under me and just eating it into the dirt, man. We had, road rash and dirt and mud all over, but they were cool. Like they would totally cheap shot you. And then they'd like, hey, get up. Oh, that was great, man. Good job. We'll try that. And so we just got the shit kicked out of us for like 2 hours. And we went to work that night. We could barely even walk up the stairs. We're so sore. My legs are bleeding. I got a black eye. And then like a year later, I'm driving down Sunset and I see PJ up on the fucking billboard, a cover of Rolling Stone, Johnny Knoxville, the new pain in town or whatever. I called my friend. I'm like, dude, remember that football? Yeah, we were with Jackass. It was all those fucking Jackass guys. And now I look back on it, it was Loomis and what's his face, the skater and all those guys, the whole Jackass crew.
It's so funny how, like LA is like that. And people who don't know there, it's funny when you leave LA, like when I moved back to New Jersey, I tried to explain to people, I would go out to a bar and you'd see someone in New Jersey who looks like someone famous, but it's not. But in LA, right. I would say, when you're in LA and you're at a bar, that person who looks famous, like I saw like, there are people, Gwen Stefani at like Kmart, I mean, shit like that. And it's just, people don't get that. And that's the thing, because some people do become, they get a break. A lot of people wait tables out there, and you're going to work with people. I have friends I used to work with at Gordon Biersch in Burbank, who she was the lead on when they did the remake of Knight Rider. My friend Tom Joy has worked for a long time. And that's the thing. Like did you work with any actors as waiters who actually blew up?
It was Johnny Knoxville. No, it's mostly comics I got started with. When I first got out here, I hung out with a ton of like local LA bands. And I'm like, I know one of them went to go play drums for Tool, and like, they never they never became like the spotlight guys, but a lot of them went on to successful bands. But I think Johnny Knoxville is probably the most out of the actor. Yeah, that's probably the most I can think of that got it famous out of the acting thing.
Now you're a big music guy,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
for
want to
sure.
know how long have you been loving music? Like, I sit there and I think about, how old are you? I'm
50. I'm going to
60.
turn
How
50.
old are you?
Okay. 50. I'm turning 55 in August, I think.
So we got really lucky with the music because like we had older brothers like I did who had classic rock. Then I got the whole 80s. Then we got the 90s. And then that's when I sort of stopped listening. I'm not hip after that. But for you, what drew you to music? Because I think most comics, like there used to be this guy named Brian Whalen out of Philadelphia who was the best comedy writer. It's so funny. And he turned me on to the Replacements. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
and he was a big Ramones fan. And I think a lot of comics got the earlier music, but what did you start loving music?
Well, we gotta go to the history of Murray Valeriano right here. So I grew up the son of a born again preacher. So I wasn't allowed to listen to music. I wasn't allowed to go to the school dances, I wasn't allowed to go to movies. I wasn't allowed to do it. As a matter of fact, people always say, whenever I tell people that, they're like, oh, you grew up in the movie Footloose. And I always say, yeah, my life was so much like Footloose. I wasn't allowed to see the movie Footloose. So I didn't get into music until my late teens. And then once I could sneak in a stereo, and then that's when I really got into it. And this was the 80s. So you had all that great 80s music, but then there was all that classic rock, hitting the airwaves too. So I would go and just follow the path backwards. So like, Yes, like I discovered Yes from MTV. Then I went back and saw all these, amazingly boring prog rock 20-minute organ solo stuff, So it was a really good time to really discover it, I think, because you had the left of the dial, you had Replacements and all that stuff. You had hair metal, you had the resurgence of classic rock bands, you had post new wave, hip hop had just been coming in. I went to an inner city school there, listening to Run DMC and Africa Bambaataa. And so, yeah, I think the late 80s, it was a really good time for me to discover that music.
So you're a guest a lot on Pat Francis's podcast, right?
I'm a co-host, a revolving co-host, if you want to throw labels around.
Okay, yeah, I know you. So how do you know Pat? Because I know you. I don't know how I know you. It's one of those things. People. I think because John Lamoureux knew Pat. I know John from the Hustle podcast.
Yeah.
And so how do you know Pat? And how did you guys start working together? Because Pat's got a very good podcast.
Right,
It pisses me off sometimes. He gets some guests that I can't get. Like, I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, he's getting Stuart Copeland. I'm like, come on, man. I've gotten, Kenny Jones from the give me Stuart Copeland. But it's that we both respect each other because we know, like me and him have talked about it, why some people go, why'd you get this guest? Like, because we've been doing it forever and we have good guests. But how did you guys start the show? And would you consider it's music and comedy, right?
Yeah. It's music and comedy. I got into it late. He had another co-host in the beginning, and then that guy kind of up and left. And I met Pat because I was a guest on it. And I actually met Pat at a Nick Lowe concert. Me and our mutual friend Mike Siegel went to see Nick Lowe at the Troubadour. And that's where I met Pat. And then when his partner left, he asked me and Mike Siegel and Christy Stratton to co-host. So we were kind of a revolving co-host through that. But it's a really fun podcast. I love it.
Now, do you do the interviews too, or do you just do the ones that are about the albums? Like, tell us about some of the shows you guys do.
Well, no, he handles the interviews. He handles the interviews, and he's got some great interviews like Bon Scott from AC/DC. Not Bon Scott. Bon Scott's dead. Brian Johnson from AC/DC. Yeah. He's had great, like you said, I think he might have Roger from The Who coming up, or I forget. Anyway, he's got some big ones coming up. I'll do like, we're going to do the Rock Hall episode because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is coming up. And I tend to do like a topic, like give us a topic, like, songs with color in the title, and we'll play various songs with different color. And those are the ones I tend to do and like to do. There's so much planning going on in the interview, but I don't want to be a part of that.
It's funny. When I do my interviews, even with the stars, I know their work. I don't write anything out. I just let it fly. And I said,
well, if you're a fan, Yeah, and if you're a
Right,
fan,
it
you
makes
don't
it
have
easy.
to do the footwork of it because you know it all.
So give me some of the other things you've been writing on, because I know you were on a show, I believe. You and Pat, weren't you on a TV show on Access talking about bands?
Oh,
Or Pat
yeah.
was?
So yeah, I was. Yeah, we both were. I was jumping. The shows just got canceled. I was on the top 10 revealed, which I wrote and produced, where we pick kind of like Rock Solid. We pick a subject, 10 songs about lunch or 10 Mother's Day songs, and we interview everybody from Alice Cooper to Daryl Hall, John Oates, and various comedians, and like Mindy Cohn from The Facts of Life and all that. And it's a talking head. That was fun, talking head format. And then that lasted like 2.5 years, and I did variations of that show. And then Pat and I were on a show called Music Mayhem, where they talked about the dark side of it's very serious too. Very serious. I'm like, why are you hiring comedians to be very serious? Like,
I know.
I had all these great
Did
lines, that didn't make the show because I had to be very serious. The camera guys were cracking up. And then I just got all very, and that
did they give you the questions in advance? Like, are you sitting there working it? Like, because did you just go up and they let it fly? And then you were like, okay, this is funny stuff.
In normal TV, and I've produced and been on a bunch of those shows. In normal situations like that, you get the materials ahead of time, and that way you can write it out. You can research it. You know what you're talking about. Like when I did at midnight at Comedy Central, man, we got the topics a week in advance, and I would just call my stand-up buddies, and we just write jokes for hours on end, and then you go in and you're like, boom, boom, boom. So that's the best way to make those shows work. Get it in advance. Even all of them. Bill Maher, you go on, the guys on Bill Maher, they get it in advance. You always get your topics in advance.
Now, the one you said, the top 10, what is your job as a producer? What does that entail? That you said you were one of the producers. What do you have to do as a producer on that show?
Well, it varies. On this one, it was really easy. This one is really easy because Katie Darrell, who hosted it and was executive producer, and I think creator, she handled all the interviews. She picked all the songs. She conducted all the interviews. So by the time it got to me, like a 45-minute interview is cut down to about 7 minutes. So I go through all the interview footage and I try to put, let's say we're doing Iran by the Flock of Seagulls, right? So I take all the interviews about that and I look for the different facts and find a nice little through line to talk about that song from the different sound bites. And then I throw in my own, trivia or knowledge of that and write some copy, some jokes for the host and put it together in, one song increments and 10 songs in 22 minutes.
So you've had a successful writing career, successful comic. I want to talk about your heart, because that's when I reached out to you.
I don't have a successful heart. And I don't have a successful heart.
It's it's better now. But tell me about that. How did you know? Because you had open heart surgery. Like I got away easy. I congestive heart failure. Then I've had 2.5 ablations and like 5 cardioversions. Right now it's getting good. But so yeah, I know. So what happened? And were you performing? Like, because as a comic, we always sit there and you go on the road and you have fucked up hours. But how did you know you were sick?
Well, I went, because again, it's a long story. I'll try to truncate. I went misdiagnosed for like 5 months. So I started off with a little cough like that. And then I'm an avid surfer. So about a month into that, I would paddle out and I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't breathe. And so I almost blacked out surfing one day. So I went to the doctor and they just kept x-raying my lungs. They just kept going, there's something with your lungs or something with your lungs. And so that went on I probably went to the doctor once a week, 5 times for different inhalers. Try this inhaler. That didn't work. Okay, try this one. And then I was on the road up in Washington and I just had a CAT scan the day before. And they were like, get to the hospital now. There's something leaking into your lungs. We can't figure out what it is. And so I ended up going to the hospital up there and my mitral valve had completely just stopped working. And my atrium was filled up with blood, not to get too graphic for your listeners. And it was leaking into my lungs and drowning me basically. So the guy told me, I'd be dead within a month if I didn't get surgery. And so that was my first surgery. And then I had another ablation last year. And then I'm online for a possible pacemaker. We'll find out this week. because my heart just keeps.
So how do you keep the funny going? You know, because I'm sorry, you know, when I was in the hospital the first time, it was for 8 days, and I always joke around that, you know, my wife, you know, we moved back to New Jersey, and then my wife was all, you know, we were going to get married in a few months, and I always said, honey, I'm cheap. Don't worry, I won't die. I'm not losing the deposits. That's not going to happen. But you have to try to be positive, and people think. So how did you stay positive about it? Because we can go on Facebook, and that's why I reached out to you, because it's fucking scary. And that's why I said, oh, man, this is someone I don't really know him, but I know him. And if he says, oh, who the fuck are you? Get out of here, Cooper. I said, all right. But I figured I'd reach out. But how did you start dealing with it? Because it must be just also in your head when you're on stage. Like, I always had a problem. I used to work with a guy who was always afraid he was going to shit himself on stage. No, I don't know why. He always afraid he's going to shit himself on stage.
Valid. I think that's a valid.
But I was doing a show with, do you know Joe Matarese?
Oh, yeah, Joe.
He's an old friend of mine. And we were doing a show, and I had 65 people there to see me. It was right after the pandemic. He had like 250. I did not go on stage for a while, and I'm feeling nervous. And I'm looking at my Fitbit, and it's like at 150. And I feel like my foot's getting numb, which it isn't. I'm afraid I'm going to like stroke out onto the stage.
Right.
Because it was in my head. But for you, how did you get back on the horse? Because it had to be a long recovery for you. I mean, it's like you probably lost weight. I mean, it had to be a lot of, you know, it must have been a while.
Yeah, I mean, I did lose a lot of weight. The thing is, like, I've been a vegetarian for 25 years. I don't do drugs. I surf, I work out. So I actually recouped within 3 months. I was surfing within 3 months. So they were like, good news, bad news is good news. You're very healthy. You'll probably survive this. The bad news is you're so healthy. We're going to crack your ribs open and we're going to go in because you can survive it. So I was actually within 3 months, I was surfing again, but I think it just happened so quickly. And like, it was so, can you believe it kind of thing that I didn't really have time to like get scared or get really worried about it until after the fact. I mean, I got to work with Robert Schimmel when I first started out, and I would listen to his stories of working through chemo. And, you know, he had stage 4 cancer that he eventually beat. So I took a page out of his book, and I called the Improv, I called the store. I'm like, I want to work every night until I go into surgery. So they put me up every night. I actually went into heart failure on the Improv Saturday night Improv stage. I couldn't even get through my set. I had to sit down and call it quit. And then Monday morning I was in the hospital with surgery.
Now, has your writing, do you address this now in your act, or is it something that's taboo to you? Because I don't talk about it really. I don't talk about it.
Well, I had a good friend, and
you do.
I talk about it. Well, I guess I could say. I remember Greg Barrett. I don't know if you know Greg, came over.
Yeah, Greg's been on Cooper Talk. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, and after my surgery, and he's like, "Hey, man, if you don't want to talk," because I was like all the doctors like, "Hey, you're gonna have a great set of jokes after this." Like, I'm just trying to survive first, and then I'll worry if I want to talk about it. Let's just make sure I live. And Greg's like, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. Like, nobody's making you talk about it, which I thought was really interesting. But I do talk about it. I ended up, my first set after was at the Irvine Improv, and I took a headlining set. Stupid. I should have just started off opening to get back into it. And I did 15. I was literally pacing back and forth before I went on stage. Do I talk about this? Do I not talk about this? And I did 15 minutes up front, and it went really well on the heart. And, yeah, it went really well. But then I told my wife, I'm like, that's because it happened in the moment. Well, let's see how much of this 15 minutes actually has legs. And I think I survived. I think I had kept 5 minutes of that. And so I have one show where I talk about it and I touch on it throughout. So yeah,
I think that us comics, we should get deals from the heart companies. And actually, do you know Lou DiMaggio? Lou's been on the show.
Kind of like the way we know each other. Yeah.
Well, Lou had a heart attack like years ago, and he didn't know. And I knew him from MTV and seen him on like all his impressions and all that. Sure, and he ended up getting a commercial for like the American Heart Association. So I sit there and it's Lou DiMaggio, and he's getting paid to be like from Pfizer, like, I had a heart attack, I could have died. And I'm thinking they should give us comics deals, because we know what's going on. We know how to talk to the camera. I mean, I think we should have a band of like the Bad Heart Tour. That's like we should get sponsored by Pfizer and just go across country and play like, 45 and up, or people with heart failure.
I've actually been thinking about it, because I've done a ton of like fundraisers for American Cancer Society and stuff like that. And I raised some money for the American Heart Association also. And it's such a, like, first of all, if you're not going through it, you know somebody who has, you know what I mean? Like, you know, heart disease and death and all that. That's so very close to everybody. So I think it's a good idea. It's something I would like to do for sure. Like I said, I've done a few fundraisers for those guys. But I remember I did
your wife, and I know.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember I did a cancer fundraiser in Northern California, a huge casino. And I had a bit where I talk about where I'm being told I'm going to die. And it's a good laugh because it brings everybody down to a serious, and then the punch really, you know, it's a good laugh, and it has a good meaning behind it. But when the MC went up, he had like this moment of silence for people suffering through chemo right now, or people who lost. And I mean, I was debating on whether I should do this joke because some people are actually facing it right now, you know? And I remember just the whole through show, when I get to this joke, do I do it? Do I do it? And I did it. And it's like, in the setup is, you know, I don't know if you've ever been told you're going to die or not. And it got a good laugh. And then afterwards, when I was doing the meet and greet, all the survivors came up and were like, March 8th, 1987. I'm not even supposed to be here. You know, December 12th, 2006. I was told I wouldn't live a month. And it was so uplifting and fulfilled, and kind of just brought everybody together. And I think it's a great idea what you're saying. Get together and do that heart tour.
I think what it also is, you know, people want to laugh at it. You know, no one, you know, sure, you see people on Facebook who are like, oh, woe is me. Like one guy, woe is me, I had high blood pressure. Are you fucking serious? You had high blood pressure, right? And take some, you know, lisinopril and shut up.
Right.
That's the thing. But I think people, that's one of the reasons why comedy's so great. I mean, you know how it is when you get off the stage, if someone says, oh, I was having a really shitty week and you made me laugh. And I think sometimes it makes it worth it. And when it's death, people don't talk about that. I mean, I do a bit about, you know, I was doing a storytelling show for Mark Riccadonna, and I told a story about me getting Indian Viagra because after my heart thing, I had to get Viagra, but it was so expensive that I got it through line. But I said I had congestive heart failure. People look at me and I said, you know, it's bad because it says failure, and then it clicks with people. They go, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I think that people we have all gone through it should talk about it more because it makes it. Someone in the audience is going, holy shit. This guy Murray, look at him. You know, he looks like Patrick Fabian. He's up on stage and he's telling jokes and he's fine. And I think it's something that, as a comic, any comic who's been sick, I think it's sort of like something we should talk about.
No, I agree. I also have a Viagra joke from when I was in ICU and they gave me a Viagra.
This is a true story. But tell me,
it's a true story.
Tell me your Viagra joke.
Oh, I don't want to do the Viagra joke. No, it's come see my show and I'll do the Viagra joke for you.
How can I see your show? I'm not in LA, but the people you go see them, they'll tell the Viagra joke.
Oh yeah, we come see. I'll make my way out to Philly, and you can come out. And my buddy Bron's producing a show out there.
Oh, Bron, yeah, Bronson. Jones. So Bron. Bron. Yeah, he's over media. I didn't even know he moved back.
Yeah, and I have a family and all that, like Bucks County area. So that's where he's at. So he's back. He's producing shows. You should reach out to him.
I'm headlining people June 28th at Pizzeria Uno in Newtown Square. I'll be headlining people, so come check that out. I'm doing a nice 40 to 45 minute set. Also, July 9th, the Soundplex, myself and Chris Kosha. Your wife, I remember I messaged you. Your wife is a costume designer who was up for an Oscar, right? Now, did you get to go to the Oscars?
Yeah, she's been nominated 4 times, I think. So I've been to.
Have you gone to 4 of them, or have you gone to any?
Yeah, I've gone to all 4. Yeah.
Tell me what it's like to go to the Oscars.
It's good. It's fun. You know, it's fun. It's a huge, you know, spectacle. My favorite part is getting, you know, they're not limos anymore. They're black SUVs, and you drive up and you get all the Christians who are picketing the signs and you're going to burn in hell and that's my favorite, especially coming back from being a preacher's kid. That's my favorite part. It's great. You know, it's pretty star-studded, but you know, I've been working in the business for a long time, so I don't really get like starstruck that much. But it's fun. I'll tell you my favorite part, and I think one of my wife's favorite parts also is we were there the year the Queen movie came out, Bohemian Rhapsody. And so we're in the front row because her category was in the first act, and it goes to black, and it just starts with "We Will Rock You," and the curtain drops, and it's Queen fronted by Adam Lambert. And we were just up. My wife, if you look at the video, you can see the two people on their feet first were me and my wife. We're just like, because we're both big music fans. So that was a real fun part of that. And then I met Brian May over at the BAFTAs that year, which was an awkward meeting.
Why? When you're sitting there like, oh, I mean, it's something that when you meet someone, like if I met Springsteen, I'd be like, oh shit, I don't know what to say. But why was it awkward?
Well, all right. There's a little bit of a name drop situation. Well, I guess I already have. All right. So my wife hit it off with Spike Lee at a party beforehand, and he was doing a movie and he wanted her to do the movie. So they've been going back and forth. And so we go to the BAFTAs and I see Brian May come in. And the woman from Netflix, who was kind of our guide, was like, oh, I want to try and meet Brian May. She's like, come on, right now. We're going to meet him right now. You're not going to meet him later. Let's go. We're going to do this. And I'm like, oh, Mary, I'm going to go. I'm going to say hi. And then I'm going to turn and then you can take a picture. And she's like, okay, great. Yeah, that'd be awesome. She knows. So I go, hey, Brian, I'm Murray. I'm a big fan. Can we get a picture? And I turn around and my wife's not there. She's like completely gone. And so I'm sitting there with my arm around Brian May, who's got 3 feet on me. The dude's tall, right? And he's just like, whatever, creepy guy, I gotta go. And he walked away. So I made an ass out of myself in front of Brian May. And I look for my wife and she's over there exchanging numbers with Spike Lee.
Well, that's always good. So
yeah.
These days, what do you prefer? Do you prefer writing or do you prefer stand-up, or is it a tie? I mean, it's hard because it's two different things. One, writing, you're by yourself. Comedy, writing, you don't know if it sucks or not until someone reads it. Comedy, right. You know if it sucks, if you go up on stage, it doesn't go left. But what do you prefer? Because you've been doing both for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I've been writing before stand-up. I love them. I mean, I love them. I love them both. I think they're great. I like I said, I stumbled into writing, and it's one of my favorite things to do. Like I wrote that story about Johnny Knoxville. It's just something I wrote out because I love writing. When I'm not working on a show, I'm in the middle of writing something else I'm going to post. I should probably start a Substack, but I haven't. There's just something about, and the difference, like there's a difference between writing jokes on a page and performing jokes in stand-up. Like you can write the perfect joke and it's hilarious and it'll never get a laugh in an audience. They're subtle differences, but they're big differences. So it's a different style of writing, which I really enjoy. And I enjoy both of them actually very much.
Now, you mentioned you came from a Christian upbringing.
Oh, you don't have to. No, it was full on Christian. There's no quotes there. It was born again, church 5 times a week.
What were your parents' reaction when they found out that you wanted to go into performing? I mean, was it something I think it would be hard because as you said, you couldn't see movies, you couldn't listen to music, and here you want to write movies or write TV. I mean, what was their reaction to it? And had they come to grips with it?
They've come to grips. I think it was just so far out of their just knowledge of anything. Like I don't even think they understood what it was until 15 years into it. You know what I mean? I would send them like shows I had written, and my mom's go-to would be like, well, that looks very professional. Like she just didn't understand. I don't think she understood the concept of, especially writing, because people really, they see the stars on stage. They don't, the celebrities, they see them on TV. They don't realize that there's, 15 writers behind it, so I don't think they really understood it, but they've come around and they've come to see my shows. And yeah.
Now, what is your favorite show? If you could pick one that you've written on, what is your favorite project you worked on?
I had a show, and I just had lunch with these guys today, as a matter of fact, before I got here, on CMT, which I think is around. Is CMT Country Music Channel even around anymore? I'm sure it's NASCAR channel or something.
I know, but I don't know.
But I had a clip show called Country Fried Videos with Bill Engvall hosting, and that ran for 6 years or something like that. And it was right in that clip show boom, like right there in the middle of it. And that was just, we laughed every day for 6 years. It was great. We had a great writer's room. We all became really good friends. Like I said, I just had lunch with them today. I went to one of their weddings, and it was working with my friends for 5 or 6 years. It was a blast. That's definitely one of my favorites.
Now,
for sure.
You're in the entertainment business. You live in Hollywood, in LA. A lot of LA, the industry's moving. It's getting out. So have you seen an effect on that? Because I know actors are like, well, first of all, a lot of these guys, Reed Diamond and Xander Berkeley, the guys moved to Maine. They're like, we can sell our house in the hills for a shitload more than we got it for a move. Have you seen have you seen a difference in your work calls? And is there any chance you would leave LA? Because writing is a lot more, like Mike Rowe from Futurama is moving to Connecticut because he said we can write anywhere. What is your thought on how the entertainment industry in LA is going to be over the next few years?
First of all, I haven't heard Reed Diamond's name in forever. That goes way back. I haven't seen him in forever. Right now, TV is hurting, man. I have a Monday night poker game with all that guy actors, and nobody's working. I've got this music and comedy game show I'm trying to sell that I'm doing live at the Improv next month, and not getting any bites on that. So I don't know where we're in a weird transitional phase they don't know what to do with streaming. They don't know how to make the money on the advertisements. Everybody's in this weird holding pattern. So I don't know where it's going to go, but I love Los Angeles. I love LA. I moved here before I even visited. Like, I've been infatuated with LA from Beach Boys songs when I was a kid to, so I don't think there's any other place in the States I'd live. If I moved, I would probably move to an island after my kid got out of high school.
Now, what's the show you're doing at the Improv?
It's called For What It's Worth.
Music show.
Yeah, it's a music and comedy game show. It's called For What It's Worth. And I create all the games. And I have mostly comics, actors. I had a few music journalists, but they take it way too seriously. So the fun goes right out the window. But I have I've got Jimmy Pardo coming on this. I've had Greg Proops, Greg Barrett, Laura House, Kira Sultanovich, Jackie Cation, all the great comics. And it's a comedy and music show, and it's all based. It was kind of inspired by At Midnight, the old Comedy Central show that we used to do, the comics would do. And so it's kind of loosely based on that, or inspired by that, I should say. But it's turned into something really, really much more than I thought it'd be. We've sold out every show so far. Knock on wood, we'll sell this one out. And and the comics have so much fun with it. They asked to come back.
Now, what's your besides cruises, what's your road like now? Is there a lot of road work out there? I mean, has it changed, or what's it like?
Well, it's definitely changed. I'll be at the comic strip in El Paso, June 19th to 22nd, if anybody's there. And then I'm doing a casino up in Oregon. So again, I think stand-up's going, I mean, that's a whole, I don't want to go, inside baseball on this, but I don't know where it's going. Like there's a part of me that thinks a comedy club's going to go the way of a jazz club. They're just, I think with podcasts getting so huge that they're selling out Madison Square Garden, but they're not selling it out because they're stand-ups. They're selling it out because it's a podcast about Like, I don't know where stand-up's going, to be honest with you. I don't know where stand-up's going. And these cruise ships came around at a good time, man. Like, I was just thinking retirement. Like, what am I going to do when I'm 65, 70, when I've aged out of the clubs and writing? Well, I'll look into cruise ships. And then I just ended up doing really well, and I like it a lot. And I'm booked through June of next year, I think, which is unheard of, as you know.
How long of a run is, like, when you go, do you book like 3 weeks of a cruise ship, or how does that work? Like, when you book, do you book like twice a month? Because you're gone for a while.
Yeah, well, it all depends. Like right now, like my wife and I, we try to flip flop. Like I'll stay home for a while and watch the kid, and then she'll stay home for a while and watch. So she's off. She was planning on being off all this year. So I took something like 38 cruise ships this year, something crazy like that. And then, I've had some more heart problems, so I've had to cancel a bunch. But so I try not to go out more than a week at a time, because it's way too long to be away from home with a kid. It's really great. I'm very fortunate to have that, turn down work at this point. So I know that can end any day now, so I'm not taking advantage of it, or taking it for granted, I should say. But I try not to go out for more than a week. Like this one, I went to Alaska I did at the end of one cruise, which was 3 days, and then I stayed on for 2 days on another one, and so that was 2 contracts in 5 days. So that was great. So the money's good, and if you schedule it like that, it can be really profitable. Yeah.
I got one final question. You've had a successful career. Give me a few things you're proud about in your professional and personal life, because everyone has different answers. Every entertainer has different answers, but 2 things you're proud about, or a few things in personal and professional.
Well, I'm proud that I'm raising a really talented kid who's an amazing drawer and funny and makes me laugh. I'm proud of him. Career-wise, what am I proud of? I don't know. I don't know. I'm very proud of surviving open heart surgery. I will. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised I haven't showed you guys my scar yet. I will show it to anybody. So I'm very proud of that. And I wear that on my sleeve, and I'm like you, I will reach out to strangers who have heart problems and be like, hey man, just so you know, I went through this, whatever you got, I'm here to talk about it. So I went over, I've done shows for the military, stuff like that. I'm proud of. Yeah.
You should do merch with a scar on the t-shirt. I'll tell you, would sell a shitload of them.
What's funny is I thought about, just for my own self, I thought about just getting the scar outlined and putting it on and just put it on a t-shirt and just actually might do that. It's been sitting in the back of my head. I actually might do that. And just like mimic the actual scar, because it's jagged. You know?
Joe Matarese used to sell pill cases because he was on because Adderall and all that shit. So he would sell pill cases with his name on them. People would buy them. I'm telling you, you would sell out a shitload of people and they wear it. And just have your little your MTV, that little logo you have that looks like Mary, that one you have. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, Mary, you're missing out. You're missing out.
It's not a bad idea. I'm always looking for new merch. You know that.
Exactly. So I want to thank you for coming on. How can people find out where you're performing, keep up with you? I know in the Rock Solid podcast and all that.
Well, you can Murray V Comedy on Instagram, Murray Valeriano Comedy on Facebook. I do most of my work on Facebook. That's where I get most of my action. That has all my dates at murrayvaleriano.com. You can watch episodes of my game show on YouTube that are up there. Mostly Facebook and Instagram these days. All there, Murray V, Murray V. If you get to Murray, if you get to Murray VAL, that Google should, you don't have to worry about spelling my last name. Google should fill that out for you.
You'll find it, people. Go find it. Yeah. So go find Murray. You can also, don't forget Comedy Trainwreck, all those great shows they have. Go watch past episodes of Coop's Comedy Corner. If you're a business person, go watch the Coop Tank. I have a roundtable of local business people every week. Last week, I just had some people who create networking events like I do. We had a really good insight there. And Cooper Talk, I'm going to start picking it up more. I just had Graham Bonnet on. He was great. And it turns out his girlfriend is from my hometown and went to the same high school as me and graduated with my older brother. And so, also don't forget Coop's Comedy Corner. We got some great merch up there. Jimmy did a great job designing it. I mean, you got the Coop Tank shirts. You got Coop's Comedy Corner shirts. You got Cooper Talk shirts. I have this new one with my heart that says Cooper and it's a scar. That will be up there next week. And I'll be stealing Mary's shirt. And so I want to thank you for watching, and please rate the show. Keep following us. And you all have a great week.
Coop's Comedy Corner.